everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today, we are focusing on diving deeper into Google Classroom, and we have a wonderful expert on Google Classroom, Miss Caroline Fletcher, so I will let her introduce herself.
Hello. I am actually known as Fletch across the corporation, and I am the Madison DIS. I've been with the corporation for 16 years. This is my 17th year starting. So it's an exciting start to the 17th year. 7 is involved, by the way, so let's get that in check. So I'm hoping that most of you either have a Google Classroom set up or attended Allison's awesome presentation yesterday during this time where she did the boot camp for it. So we're going to go into basically already having the classroom set up and then just the different things to deal with that maybe aren't so intuitive. So the first thing is I know that there are a lot of teachers that are co-teachers in classrooms, right? And you guys are getting bombarded with emails. So some of you may be going in and changing settings that are affecting the main classroom. So I want to show you something real quick. So here's an example. If I go into someone else's classroom, right, and I come up here to the gear with the settings, some of you are coming down and you are changing this notification to have no notifications, meaning that you're not getting emails and so forth like that. When that happens, you're changing it for every teacher in that classroom. And so that's kind of creating a havoc. But I also understand that we don't want to have hundreds of emails. So I kind of want to let you know real quick right off the bat, if you come over to your email, okay, and ignore mine because mine's going to be like bombarded with emails, and I come into someone's classroom, you're going to get, oh, wait a minute, let me go over. Oh, of course, 1 sec. Okay, so if I go into, and I'm hoping I did not delete everybody's. Oh, good, makerspace. All right, it's okay, I'm deleting. I'm going to delete yours too, okay? If I come down to a Google Classroom, I'm trying to find one. I get to way too many emails, let me tell you on that one. You're going to get a whole unsubscribe at the very bottom of your email, right? So if you want to unsubscribe to that, right? So it'll be right here. And if you hit that, it's going to open up the whole thing for changing all of your statuses. So you can unsubscribe to different classrooms. You can unsubscribe to just maybe the emails, or you could just unsubscribe to maybe the teacher or certain students. And so it's actually a really good feature. The next thing that I want to go over, and let's get back into our Google Classroom Agrees. Okay, so if I come back over here, is our codes. Now there's certain things that are going to be really cool coming up, right? So if I go to all my classrooms, and I can access it over here, right? I'm going to use, of course, my Madison staff as our guinea pigs. And yes, I have lots of classrooms. If you are new to this, by the way, you may want to create a sandbox classroom like this just to play around and invite maybe like, you know, your husband or someone else or your kiddos into it. But I always use my Madison staff because they love me. All right, so if we have this whole Google Classroom, right, the codes, here's the code up here, of course, that is generated, right? But let's say sometimes maybe you don't get the best code. I had one teacher last year that got a code that said 2LU sex. I'm like, yeah, we're not giving out that code, right? So we need to understand how to change some of these. So if you, again, you go into that gear and you go into your settings, you can come over here and you can change your code by hitting this and you can reset it. Now, here's also a cool thing that I want you to understand. So once you have all your students in the classroom, you can disable this code, meaning everyone in that classroom is still in there and you can still work with them, right? But they can't give the code to someone outside of your classroom and they can't enter. So that will prevent a lot of people, or maybe cross-school kiddos, especially in high school or whatnot, that want to have fun and join a classroom and whatnot. So once you have all your kids in there, you can disable it. And then the good thing is once you have, let's say we get a kiddo that enrolls, right, in a month. Well, you can enable that real quick. And then after you disable, right, it's done, no one else can log on. Oh, I got a new kiddo. Again, you come right here, you enable it, you give them that code real quick. As soon as you see them on, you disable it, and then your classroom's kind of locked down. So that's just a little tidbit for that one. This is the newest, one of the newer additions to Google Classroom over the summer, and this is a link. So if you don't want to give the code out, you can also give this link out. And so this will also help with Google Classroom, or you can do it within Class Dojo or Remind, or however you're communicating, Canvas, however you're communicating. Now, this code right here, of course, this is where you can actually reset it. So let's say I got like a really bad code here and it's not good. And I'm not saying a bad code like per se necessarily all with the words. Maybe you have ones and L's, okay? Ones and L's are very difficult, especially for the littles on these codes. And then people keep trying all these codes. And I know I've been in and I've tried all the different versions. So if you see that you have two things that just look identical, then you can absolutely reset that. So that might be something helpful to do if people are struggling to get into your classroom, and then to resend it that way. All right, so we've got that. All right, coming down here. Now, here are some really important things for the stream. You want to control what your students are doing or how they're communicating back and forth, especially during this whole epidemic, as far as like, we don't have them in our classroom, right? Everyone's everywhere. We want to prevent the bullying. We want to make sure we're creating a community and a positive community. And so I tend on this stream to come over here, and I usually only let teachers post and comment. There's no reason on that stream that's going to be on the front page, which you guys will see, should have anything necessarily with the students. It's always good to be communicating with the students, like with the Google Docs, the Google Slides, Google Meets, where you are absolutely monitoring their communication. So that just helps prevent any harm, right? So the classwork streams, of course, I told you guys at the very beginning, please don't mess with that unless you are the main teacher. The main teacher is the only one that can decide if they want to or do not want to see what's happening within the notifications. And again, remember, even if you don't see them, you can always go in and check it. So it's not like they disappeared. It's just that you're not getting bombarded with the emails, okay? The deleted items, I tend to keep that turned off until I need one. Now, I do delete the items because I tend to get a lot, and we're going to go through that here in a little bit. But I will turn them off just because otherwise they totally bombard my classwork and other areas. The Guardian summaries, again, that's something that sends out. I will say this, I have already gotten 2 from my high school teacher or high schoolers teachers, which was kind of cool. And those were really neat. It just showed the work that they were doing and what they were at. Now, here is a very important aspect right here, Meet. Okay, so I'm going to cover some key things with this. First, if you have not generated a Meet, you're going to have generate a Meet button right down here in the right-hand corner. Okay, do you see that? I'm hoping. If I'm going too fast, someone tell me to slow down. All right. After that, you're going to get this link that appears up here, and then this button will automatically be turned on. Now, here's what that means. If that button is automatically turned on, and I go back to my home page, oops, sorry, I didn't hit save. Save. Okay. You're going to get a link that the students are now going to be able to see the second that they go on to Google Classroom, okay? You will know that they can see this link because you're going to see a video camera right here. Now, here's what I want to caution you on. If this link is open, they may be able to still access it, depending. Now, supposedly, if a student clicks this link, then they get in this like waiting area, right, for the teacher to join on. But sometimes there's kind of hiccups. And sometimes a student might be able to stay on or copy a link and get around that. So I always caution my teachers in my building to always change it and turn it on and off. Now, you don't necessarily have to change it, but I'm like one of those spastic people that just like to have extra security, right? So let's say we just got done with a Google Meet with our kiddos. The first thing I would do is, one, wait at least 25 to 30 seconds to get off that Google Meet to make sure all your kiddos are off because they can't get back on. So that's a good buffer, right? Just to make sure. Then after you get done with that, I instantly go right back into my gear when I'm done with the meet with the kiddos, and I come right back down here. I turn it off, so now it should be inactive. It doesn't matter. That means they can't see it. And what I want you to see is, oh, cancel. I gotta go back. Okay, what I want you to see is that now on their home screen, this whole area right here is going to be blank. But you are going to see this eyeball with a slash, meaning no students can see that. And that's kind of similar with Canvas and stuff that we've been learning about. So the second thing I do, which I wanted to show you, is because again, I'm just over anxious, right, at sometimes, is I always just kind of reset my code. That way, just in case there's a hiccup, it's covered, that code's no longer active, and this kind of reset it for the whole Google Classroom. So that's what I tend to do. I want to let you know that this whole grading area is going to be covered in depth on Friday next week with Megan, who is absolutely outstanding, and you're going to love it. So I'm going to kind of skip this area, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to go dive right back into assignments, okay? So I know there's been lots of questions about, I've had this Google Classroom for 2 years, or I created this one last year and I have all this stuff over here and I want to do this and I want to reuse. So we're going to go through some of that, as some of you have noticed what I've had with my agenda on Canvas, right? So here we go. We're going to dive into classwork. Oh, hey, wait a second. I want to show you something real quick. Okay, remember here, also on the front page, I just want to mention something real quick. If you are a co-teacher and maybe you're posting, maybe you're special ed, or maybe you're, co-teaching something, please don't try to trump that teacher's assignments unless they say don't worry about it, because it just creates confusion for the kiddos. So remember that you can move these up and down anytime you want. So if as soon as I post an assignment, right, it becomes to the top, I can go ahead and I can say right back down to the teachers, say that's my main one, right? Thank you, Walsh, for letting me use your post. And I can use this and I can say, you know what, I'm going to move the teacher's assignment to the very top. And then I'm right below. And we'll go over how this works. But a lot of people just have maybe a couple kids in each classroom that they're targeting assignments or communicating with. And so this is key to not having that confusion. And we'll show you. So let's go to classwork. All right. First thing is, of course, all of our awesome stuff. And I'm hoping, here we go, create. So we've got assignments, we got create assignments, questions, materials, and repost, right? So the first thing I actually want to cover with you is the topics. I have found this key to organization. So if you are like me and you like to get things organized into, let's say I'm a high school science teacher in earth space, and I have an oceanography for 9 weeks, and then I've got earth space for 9 weeks, and then I've got astronomy and oceanography, right? So I have all this type of subjects. Or I'm in elementary and I've got reading and language. You know what I'm saying. So when I make these folders, I love to put them in topics, because then I can just post a topic at a time, and that's when it opens up for the kiddos. So the first thing you'd like to do, if you want to create a topic, and I'm going to kind of show you just a quick example. See, I have test security, I got Wired Wednesdays, I've got Google Classrooms and computers and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and create a topic, and I'm going to try to keep my mind on the time so I don't run out. So my topic, we are going to do snow days, right? Because we all have them. So I'm going to go ahead and add. So I can come down here, and now I have my snow days. I can look over here. I can rename it at any point. So if I had an error or whatnot, right, I can do that. I then, if I create my assignments, which we'll create one. So let's create an assignment. We're just going to do a generic little assignment right here. Snow day number 1. Oh, you guys are all going to see I can't spell. Number 1. All right, so then I can add something. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick because I know a lot of us have made Google Drive docs and folders and folders and folders upon folders. And so I don't like to recreate, and I also don't want to have to drag over every single file on a folder that I have created in my Google Drive into my Google Classroom. So here's a little trick that I have learned is instead of doing Google Drive, which if I clicked Google Drive, I can click on the folder, like watch, here I'll show you. So I can click on the folder, I can go to my drive. And then let's say I wanted to do classroom, right? Because here's our computer classroom assignments. So if I click on that, if I wanted to share it to the whole classroom, I'd have to start sharing each one of these individually, right? I can't shift, I can't select, I can't drag and drop. It's like one or the other. So here was my workaround. If I go back to add, I'm just gonna link it. I don't care. So I'm gonna come over here to my Google Drive. I'm gonna go to my drive. Oh, by the way, that was a cute little video sent out. I'll come here then. I want, where did it go? Oh, it actually doesn't matter because it's a practice thing. I won't post it. So I'll come here to classroom. Maybe. All right, there we go. So if I go into my classroom, there we go. I then, here's the trick. I come up here, you see up in the left-hand corner, classroom. I click on my down link. I come down here to get shareable link, which means you're sharing the folder, not just one of them, right? Okay. So then I can share that. And then here's the other thing. You can either do just with people that have that link, or of course you can change that. I tend, because it's in the Google Classroom, I just want my Google Classroom link people to have it. And that's just me. So copy link. And then I come right back to my classroom and I paste my link just like this, right? And I'm going to add it. So now, which is kind of cool, everything in that drive is already uploaded for that assignment. So what does that look like then? Well, at one, they can access this, right? But it's with sharing. But what you can do then, students can view the file, right? They can make it, which I do not suggest, especially if you're sharing a folder, or make a copy for each student. So here's a key thing with this one. If I want to make a copy for each student, let's say I'm doing a whole 9-week thing and I'm going to have them timed to be rolling out, right? Then this is key, especially if you want them to be interactive in anything in that file. So if you're doing your interactive PowerPoints, which we've all been looking about, or learning about the HyperDocs, which is awesome. If you haven't checked out the Back to School University ones that were done by Madison's crew, please, Avery and Moore, you guys rocked it. Check those out because those were very informative as far as grants as well. You guys did a great job. So that's what you want to make sure that you're going to do if you want each one to have it. If you're just sharing something for people just to see, let's say you just have a file full of videos or whatnot, here's where you're going to do that. So Madison crew, sorry, you guys are about ready to get another email. Now, here's the other thing. So I understand, because I taught high school as well and middle school, that I might have 4 sections of our space. And I don't want to do this 4 times in a day, right? So remember over here on the right-hand side, you can go ahead and click on this, and then you can go ahead and pick how many classes you want it to go to. So the same settings will apply, which this is a good thing to do. That way you're not redoing every single thing that you want to do. Let's say maybe you just want to target a couple kiddos. Here's where you're going to select to target a couple kiddos. I can see this happening with special ed. I can see it happening in small reading groups. I can see it happening in remediation settings and so forth like that. So that is something that you want to do as well. Know, though, that if you don't select all, then you can't really create the assignment. So that's why I always come in, and I think more was on. So I'm going to go ahead. More, you're my guinea pig. Thank you. I'm just going to at least select one. You can set everything right here. Now, here's a cool thing right here is the topic. Look, the topic. Here's how you categorize it, right? So I can come over here. I already created my topic that I wanted. And let's just say this was Google Classrooms, right? This was our classrooms that we were creating. So I'm going to stick it in there. And I'm going to say assign. So it jumps me back to this front page. So you don't see the assignment in classwork, right? It's not necessarily up here. But if I go down to my topics and I go, look, snow day number 1 under Google Classroom. It's right there. And you can also, if say like, oh, shoot, I changed the wrong one. It should have been Wired Wednesday. I can just grab it and drop it, and it goes right into that category. So instead of having lists upon lists like what you see up here, you can absolutely put them in here. And then remember, you can still control them by editing over here and determining when they're going to open up or when it's going to be due. So kind of remember that. I will just do a side note here, but I'm not going to teach anything on it because I'm going to be honest, I have not looked into it. Is this check plagiarism? I believe this is brand new. As far as I haven't seen this before, so I think this might have been something opened up this summer, and I have to check into that, but that might be something really, really cool to check into. Okay, so, okay, next thing. Let's say, you know what? I have a post from last year. I have an assignment from last year. Why do I have to keep recreating something over and over and over again? But you don't, right? You don't. So let's say I want to come over here. I'm going to get into my classroom. Let's go back. I'm going to go into all classrooms. Classes. All right. So let's say I want to reuse a post that maybe have been archived or something like that, right? So I'm going to come over. I'm going to choose Huber. You're my next round. Oh, I didn't accept her yet. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm going to go back to Madison. Sorry. All right, so we're going to just go ahead and reuse. So we're going to go back to classwork, create, and reuse a post. Now, I'm in Madison, but let's say, you know what? I didn't create that assignment in Madison. I created it back at Jackson. You can always go backwards. So once you say reuse a post, you see this arrow over here on the left. I can come over here and click that. And then I can scroll down and I see every classroom I have ever created. Now, I don't see it in the other ones, but I see it here. So let's go ahead. I will grab an 8th hour archive, right? Oh, of course, there's no assignments because that was a guinea pig. Avery, I'm grabbing yours. So let's say I grab her assignment. I'm like, you know what? This is the one I want to actually use from last year. So I'm going to go ahead and click reuse. And again, create copies of attachments. You can do that. Now, here, just as the same as you want to do, you can create that. But then here is where, if I don't want it just necessarily in Madison, then I can put it in 3rd grade. But here's my caution when you do this. If you want to reuse a post that you have done in previous years or previous classes, make sure you're in the class you want to use the post in. So you see how I cannot uncheck Madison here? That's because I said I wanted to reuse a post in that classroom. So make sure you're in the correct classroom that you want to put it into before you do it, but then you can also add other classrooms. So just a heads up on that, okay? And I'm going to exit out because I don't need to bombard all these people with all these today. Although they were warned. They were warned. All right. I'm looking. Got that. Attachments. Okay. If I am creating, of course, my assignment, please know that you do have those different attachment ones. I do like the YouTube attachment. And I do suggest, at least this is just me and what I say in my building, is that you do like a Screencastify. Loom, Loom is another really good one, but that you kind of create your own teacher YouTube channel for your classroom. And then it's really easy to upload those YouTube videos into your lessons or into the stream using it that way. Yes, absolutely. You can still link it in through your Google, but it just seems to be a little slower when it does that type of stuff. And well, people that know me know I'm kind of impatient. So I like to try to do that. The other thing you can do is you can create an assignment right within the assignment itself. So let's say maybe, you know, you want to do just a very quick Google chat, or you want to make sure that they're checking in or they're doing attendance using a Google form, right? So you do this Google form, enter your name, and then it automatically has a timestamp. This is an awesome way to do your attendance. I love doing it this way. And so that's something that can be posted every day. And then again, like when I said doing the different categories, right? You can always have a section that says attendance. And so attendance, May 10th, May 11th, and so the kids know to log on, and then it just opens up at that time. And so just teaching your kiddos that you're going to sort it this way, I think it's going to be easier for them to do. Am I missing anything so far? All right. We went through materials because that was a cool thing. Remember this one. This one is a cool thing here. I'm telling you, material. So if I go to materials, this is the other thing. This is where if you link it like from your Google Classroom, then it goes into your Drive, which is nice for your kiddos because it also, I'm going to show you, it can come into your class Drive. So kind of think about doing stuff that way as well if you have that. People, next thing right here, right? So here's where you're going to control who is and who is not in your classroom. So as you notice here, I've got 3 different teachers. I am the main one. Now, a couple things with this, because we all know that there are times when we transfer schools, we leave the district, other job opportunities come up. But we may be the owners of something that we created as a grade level, that we created as a cohort, right? And we want to share it. We don't want to take it with us, but we want them to keep growing with that. So if we want someone or something to keep growing with that, I want you to come over. What you can do is if you have teachers first, one, you got to invite a teacher, which is just, again, just typing in that email and then they are going to be added, right? Teachers, those that are invited, please, and I'm going to always stress this, remember not to change any settings. All right, but besides that, let's say I left and I need Deb to have all the files that are in this Google Classroom and everything that we've put together for the entire year. If I come over to my 3 dots, I'm going to make her now the class owner. So that makes me a sub owner. Just like if I just change her over, that's just what's going to happen. So that's something you want to think about doing, or asking those that maybe have left and you still want those resources. This is a great way to find that. The other thing, of course, is I can remove her or I can email. So if you have teachers that left the district and you don't want them to have access, again, this is where you would do that at on your classrooms. So keep that in mind. The other thing, which I was really impressed with, because from Riley, shout out to Riley teachers, I got so many Google Classroom invites. It was crazy. You guys are rocking it. All right. So if I come over here, you can invite your guardians. Now you're going to notice that some are invited and some aren't, right? So again, I understand that PowerSchool may not be 100% accurate, or there may be different scenarios, but we can always try to get those email addresses. And I will say, as a parent, I absolutely love the communication because it helps to keep them on. Let's say a student, you want to communicate, I will let you know. Student to teacher email communications, of course, are now open. I do not believe, and it Tara or someone in comments, please correct me if I am wrong, but I do not believe the student-to-student in elementary is open yet. Someone will let me know. Look in the comments. I gotta check on that.
That I have to check on, that I'm not 100%. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not either, so that's why I'm like, we're going to check on that one. But I know that we wanted communication between student and teacher.
Yeah, I know previously, I think it was K-5, we're not able to communicate with each other, but I don't know if that's been lifted. I'll find out.
Okay, perfect. So we'll get that information out to you because I know that's been a big question with my staff. Okay, so here's where you can also email the student. Now remember, the student emails are their first name, ID number at students, plural, students.k12.in.us. If you don't have access to this, if something went wonky, but this is a great way to be able to do that. The other thing, of course, you can do, let's say, I'm going to find someone that's no longer in my building right now. Give me a second. Oh, well, she never, oh, well, I can't do her. Oh, see, this is, also, if you're having problems with students getting on, please let your principals know. Your principals are going to love me for saying this, but we're all in this together.
I just want to jump in really quick. We had a comment from Katie Nightcamp who said, please do not add parents. I just want to make that very clear. Do not add parents as students. No matter what they say, you do not add them.
Yeah. So to clarify, when I say invite guardians, this is only giving them an email of what their kid did for the day. They can't get into the Google Classroom. They can't log in. They can't communicate. This is only giving them a newsletter.
And that is very specific to their student. It only shows their student, and it only shows certain communications. So on the SB.school, on the main district website, if you go and click on the big blue button, it says e-learning. There is a guardian guide to Google Classroom, and that will show you what kind of things that we are expecting guardians to know about.
Can you put that link in our chat for us?
I will in just a minute. And so basically, you are not allowed to have a parent enrolled as a student. That breaks our privacy laws. You can invite them as a guardian. And so any posting or any communication that is done by that parent needs to be from their email. They cannot use their student's account to communicate with you. They should be using their own email because that is marked under the student's account. So just make sure that, when you're communicating with your parents, that that's understood. And then they will get their own, they will get their own summary that is protected, and it is just about their student.
Right. Correct. And that's why I wanted to point out this area and not this area. This is where you add students over on the right. This is where you add your parents, right? So that's the big difference, especially, right?
And someone just asked, what if parents were able to enter their email? If they had joined in the code, then you'll just need to remove them. So maybe, Fletcher, if you want to show people
that's my next step. So
perfect. Mila, what a great segue.
You're fine. So I found someone that, love you, Giggle, if you're on here or not, that no longer or should not be in my classroom, right? So I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. So I'm going to come up here and I click the box and I can have an action. I can remove them from my classroom now. Now, remember, so I remove, but also remember this that I mentioned at the very beginning. On your, they're removing, sorry, Giglio, bye. On your settings, also make sure, because, some people might have copied your code or copied your link, that you have it disabled. So as soon as you make that adjustment, make sure this is done. That way they can't rejoin. So we've had some people, getting booted off and then rejoining the classroom and coming back in and causing havoc or whatnot, or this is how you're gonna prevent that. So if you have that disabled, that's just gonna help you with some headaches if it occurs, right? So did that answer that question, Tara?
Yes. And then also, I'm not sure if you saw, but Barb Sequin put up a really great tip, and that is like what going back to what you said earlier, was disabling that join code. You know, also, I know that we're getting students all the time, whether they be, coming in or whatever. So, again, like just be cautious of that. But like you guys were all shown, you can go in and re-enable it, or you could change the code and kind of get that again. But it is a really good thing to disable it. And then also just, check through and make sure you see what students are on there. And when you go to grade things, you'll see everyone's name. And so if you see something, right, you don't have to constantly go to the people tab. If you're collecting work on Google Classroom, you'll see all of those things as well. I know, like when I added on my sample classes my own personal email,
Yeah.
it was like kind of annoying because it would say that I haven't graded every single person's, because my own personal one would be the bad student who wasn't turning anything in.
Well, you'll notice on one of my sandbox, that's my son. So he doesn't answer anything. He just lets me bombard him. The other thing I want to let you know, remember you can move these guys up and down. Now I want to show you this. So you're going to notice that some of mine on classwork shows drafts, and then some are darkened, right? The darkened ones mean those are the ones that the students can see depending on the time that I had it scheduled to be open. A draft means I started one and said, I'm not going to assign it yet, meaning like this. So let's say if I come into this assignment, oh, I think I hit the doc. Give me a second. Oh, here we go. If I come in and I edit this assignment, instead of saving it or assigning it or doing anything to it, and notice nothing's done, I just click the X. So anytime you start an assignment, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that assignment, and you click out, it's still going to create this in your classwork. So you can, by all means, like what I've been doing, right? I come over here and I hit delete, like you just go away type of thing. Or you can create something like that, leave it, come back to it as you're finding resources and stuff like that. Or the other thing is if I'm in my edit, what I like to do is for like due date, of course, right? We have these, you can put your due date all the way on here. Time optional, you can shut it down. So let's say you're having a quiz and the students are supposed to be on your classroom from 9 to 9:45, and you want that quiz to be done right within that period so that students aren't talking to others across the classes, right? As one is taking it and another is taking it and another. You can force them all to take it at the same time right here, that it only opens up at 11 o'clock, right? So let's say, well, let's get the other one in there, Fletch. All right, let's say it's 11 o'clock. And so it's going to open up at 11 p.m. Oh, that would be a late night for them, wouldn't it? 11 a.m. And then again, I would sign a topic, and I probably have a topic created saying quiz, right? Quizzes or tests or something like that. And it would fall into that. And then, of course, you can add your rubric. And I know Megan's going to go over that stuff next Friday for you. So I don't want to try to repeat too much. Now we have 15 minutes.
Can I jump in real quick? Can you show them the little drop down when you just created that?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you show the little drop down menu?
Coming.
See where it says assign. Go all the way up.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. We can go. Here's the schedule. Here's a good thing right here. So this allows you to open and close it at a certain time, right? So I have that. I'm going to schedule it. That's the same way you can do that, which actually is a really good one too. So let's say, like me, especially when I taught high school, I planned 9 weeks at a time because I taught Earth space. So I had oceanography for 9 weeks. I had astronomy for 9 weeks. I had, and the same thing when I, was the director of the planetarium. I had 9-week little groups, right? So we all have these lessons or these, I don't know, cross-curriculum activities that we do, and we always do. And so you can always put everything and front load it onto Google Classroom, especially using those groupings like I showed you how to do that, and then choosing to release it on certain days. And so you can do a lot of work, but here's the biggest thing. You still need to be monitoring. You still need to be doing your Google Meets, right? You're meeting, you're checking in. You're interactive with your kiddos. But you can always do a lot of work and get it set up, and then you're just more available for that one-on-one interaction throughout our school days that we're having, which is kind of crazy, like right now. But they're interactions. So we've got 15 minutes. What am I missing? What questions are going?
We actually don't have that many questions. We've answered them throughout. If anyone has anything, please feel free to put it in the chat and we will gladly answer. And if you do need to leave, this is technically over in about 5 minutes. So feel free to go take a little screen break. And before we jump into the next session, you can always reach out via email. There we go. So, we're always available. But right now I don't see any questions coming in.
Well, hopefully that means we answered them.
I hope so. I think so. Well, thank you so much for your time, and for everyone that participated. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's been a really busy week, but we're all, we're doing the right thing, and we're trying the best that we can. So again, if you have any questions, I'm sure that, you're building DIS or Fletch, or I know I can speak for myself, feel free to email us.
Absolutely. And again, please make sure you tune in to next Fridays too, because they're going to go over the grading, which is going to be in depth. And I know that's going to be a lot to learn as well.
Yeah, the rubric feature, I started kind of working with that a little bit over the summer, and it's really actually going to be a great time saver. It's really cool. Yeah. And then
want to go over steps. So I know she's going over it. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. And the other thing is that, all of these sessions are going to be available either through the Canvas course or on this YouTube link. So if there's something that you missed, or, you remember it later but want to check back, feel free to access this resource or jump into the Canvas course. Those will all be up for you guys. So we will not take them down. No. And of course, Google is Google. And so they have a wealth of support. And I know, like, the Google support pages are incredible. You can just type in what you want. I mean, there's so much there.
Yes. And please
really
look at the resource. Please look at the resources, because I put on a lot of those links on my Canvas. So on the front page, there's going to be a resource button. There's going to be several links on that. But then I also want to let you know, Google does update, and we are getting updates. So good things are coming. So just wait.
Great things are coming. Not good things. Great things are coming.
I think you're going to love what we're going to get.
We all just need everyone to flood Google and just say now we want it. Don't wait till October. We want it now. We're at their mercy, but there's good things coming.
There are. You're all going to laugh and smile and be happy.
Yes. Oh, yes. I just want to say too, disabling the code. Yeah. If you don't know about disabling the code or generating a meet, those are hands down probably the two greatest things right now that Google has given us when it comes to Google Classroom. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Caroline, because that's super important.
No problem. I'm always scared of parents coming in to start it.
Yes. And those are things I will say too to people, Google is, that's like I said, we're at the mercy of their timeline, but there are really good addition or updates, I should say, coming to Google Meet. And so some of the things that have been going on, there are fixes. And I know some people have had some issues with connectivity, and, I just want to say, please be patient and do the best that you can do. We're all in this together learning, right? So it's just a growth moment.
Yep. But it's a good one. I think we all did good. You're all rocking it. I really am impressed.
Yes.
I am.
And the weekend is here.
It's Friday. We made it through the first week.
We made it. And, just some good sunshine and, screen-free time, reading books. It'll be great.
I don't know. I'm going to the pool after this. I'm sweating.
Okay. Well, I'll be pretending that I'm in the pool too.
I'll have my phone up for the next meeting.
All right, well, we're going to jump off. Thank you all again for your time and your willingness to learn. We just appreciate it.